Well, this chapter went in a different direction than I expected, but that's okay because we did get to find out some background on who the mysterious character with the pompadour is, and check in with Komatsu.
Toriko, Gourmet number 84, the soup.
Well, hello, my brothers and sisters and gourmet hunters and Tommy Rod lovers of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim here to bring you another review on the awesome and sometimes a little bit gross and usually pretty action-packed and wonderfully described and realized tale of Toriko. Now, our last chapter, of course, saw us with Toriko and really kind of throwing down and getting ready for the match between him and Tommy Rod. And it appeared at the end of the chapter as if Toriko was just like lit up like a furnace and had this heat emanating from his shirt's off. He's all rippled with his muscles and he's about to punk some shit up, right? And that's how it ended off. That's how the chapter left off. The chapter winds up actually picking up, and it takes a little bit of a turn over here and takes us back to the mysterious figure with the Pompei over there, the little pompadour, and of course Knocking Master Jiro's, we assume, like son, protege, whatever, and then of course Komatsu, and of course Komatsu has been tasked with getting the century soup. And what winds up happening over here is we find out very quickly because this character who he winds up introducing himself as Teppei, Teppei, and he winds up, he's writing things down and telling Komatsu that, hey, your suit's wired, don't talk out, right? Don't say about how the century soup is gone. The century soup, he found, is gone, right? And we find out through a series of events during the course of the chapter, and Zongeh winds up showing up and saying, oh, the century soup is, and he winds up, and this Tepe winds up going and knocking his ass out real quick. Then he goes and we find out that what it is that Colonel Mokkoi, right, the old guy with the big old mustache and everything like that was actually just a hologram on the boat. This whole series of events of when Tepe had his little cool ninja mask on and everything, and I thought he was the one who had killed all those people 20, 30 chapters ago in the hallway in the ship. It was actually, obviously now we know it was Bogey Woods and he took over one of them. But the hologram of Mokkoi, when he talked to him, he found out that there was a wire in the suit. He winds up taking off his suit, says he didn't need it anyway. And Mokkoi has the suits wired up so he can basically hear everything that's going on. And the whole idea of Tepe, when he's trying to communicate to Komatsu and tell him not to go and say out loud that the century soup is gone, is that if Mokkoi thinks the soup is gone, there's no need for him to stay here to go and hopefully wait for some of these bounty hunters, these gourmet hunters, to return. He doesn't give a shit about them, doesn't have any loyalty to them. They're being paid, right? So, you know what? If you get the soup, fine. If there's no soup, he's going to leave him there on this ice hell Arctic frickin' continent, So anyway, this dumb shit, though, Tepe winds up going, and as he goes and knocks Zongeh out, he's like, oh, good, I knocked him out just in time, and right before he went and spilled the beans about the century soup being gone. And I'm like, oh my god. Typical dumbass fashion, he goes and spits this out. So anyway, then he's still trying to be quiet and coy about everything, and Komatsu's like, what the fuck, you already let everything out of the bag. We see a scene where Colonel Mokkoi winds up hearing that, and he's like, oh, the reports then that I heard, I guess, were true, and this and that. Turn the ship around, let's get out of here. And they're like, well, what about the gourmet hunters that are still there? And he's like, oh, too bad, they're big boys and girls or whatever, they can fend for themselves. So that's what the majority of this chapter is. We do find out a little bit about Tepe and his background. And Tepe's background is, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Tepe or Tepai, either way, or Teppei. But we find out his background is that he's a Gourmet Reviver is what he is. So I don't even know if he has anything to do with Knocking Master Jiro now. Maybe he just has a similar pompadour. I'm not really sure, but he looks just like him. He looks like a younger version of him, so maybe it is his son still. Of course, don't let me know. I don't want to be spoiled to it. But really what we wind up finding out is that a Gourmet Reviver, through the series of explanations, and honestly the narrator's off today, so I'll just have to describe it to you, is it's the opposite of a Gourmet Hunter. A Gourmet Hunter is trying to go and search out all the most rare, hard to find, hard to capture, whatever type ingredients in the world. Some of those come from animals, plants, whatever. A Gourmet Reviver is somebody who's basically like a conservationist. They're basically like one of the people that's trying to save the rainforest. They're with PETA. They're trying to make sure that there is no harm done to animals and things like that. So if there's an endangered species, Gourmet Hunters are going after it, obviously because of being endangered and it being a difficult thing to capture or to get. And he's doing the exact opposite. So they're like natural enemies. So that explains his whole having to come in disguise and everything else. And you don't really find out about what his whole deal is, but The real thing that I think was cool is that right towards the end of it, before it kind of cuts to Toriko and Tommy's battle for the last page or two of the chapter, is that they go and all of a sudden they go and they look up and they see, Komatsu sees the aurora, that little faint trail that comes off to signify where the century soup is, right? So even though the gourmet case is still intact, all the animals within it are completely extinct, of course, now, and they, I guess they slowly sort of drip down their drippings over 100 years to make the soup, and still kind of gross, but I don't know. I mean, stock, though, really good stock and really good soup is made, though, from a number of different ingredients that are really just kind of simmered and drilled down to their basest form, their purest form. So I can kind of get it, but I'm kind of like still a little bit thrown off by it, kind of a turn off. Anyway, so I don't know if I'm going to be eating any century soup anytime soon, But, so anyways, so, and then, Komatsu's just like, all right, cool, and he's just like, Takamaru, match, Toriko, I'm going to get the century soup and fulfill what he said he would do, what the task he was given by Toriko. He has no idea what's going on. They hear some rumblings, of course, and that's the fight between Toriko and Tommy that's going down. So really, that's the meat and potatoes of the chapter. A little anticlimactic in the sense that you kind of wanted to see it flow from the end of last chapter to like Toriko just pounding Tommy Rod's face in this chapter, but that didn't happen. The last couple of pages is Toriko, and he's kind of just going and burning up and just creating this like super hot, just flame-like whatever heat coming off his body, and he's basically like, now I'm going to take care of these wasps. So he's going to take care of the bugs, probably burn them all out, whatever he's going to do. I don't know if this is some next level shit and he's evolving again or what, but I know that, that basically at the end of the chapter, he's just like, hey, Tommy, drop the bugs and fight me one-on-one, come on, you want to knock me down? Try knocking me down, Tommy. Anyway, that's from Rocky 5 over there. So it's the one where he fought Tommy Gunn on the streets, And a lot of people didn't like it, but I enjoyed it because it wasn't all, in the ring. It was a lot of street fighting and stuff like that, and it was pretty cool, You knocked him down. Why don't you try knocking me down? Anyway, sorry. Occasionally I have to do it. It's kind of in the contract that I don't really have, is that, I have to do a couple of bad impressions per week in front of others that hundreds, maybe even thousands eventually will see, and that's just part of the deal. So that is the burden that I bear. However, that's how the chapter ends off, and really my chapter question for you, brothers and sisters, is what are your thoughts on Tepe, now that you know, obviously, who he is, and of course, just your thoughts in general on these gourmet revivers. Do you think it's kind of hokey and stupid, or do you think that in this world of gourmet hunting that it is a necessary kind of, it's kind of the antithesis, it's the opposite, it's the yin to the yang, it's the fire to the ice. You've got these gourmet hunters trying to hunt down everything that's rare, and then you've got these people who are trying to protect everything that's rare. Such is the way of life, and such is really just the kind of way of polar opposites that we see, good versus evil, fat versus skinny, whatever, whatever you want to throw in there, there's many opposites, There's the happy versus angry, But let me know what your answer is to that question in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button, if you should think that I deserve it, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We will look forward to catching all of you in the next one.
Remember to follow me on my other channels as well as Twitter and Facebook and Instagram too.